Going, all right. Hello, my friend, Mr. William, the editor. We have Michelle here. We're about to start the recording, so prep up. 3, 2, 1. Well, welcome, listeners, again. I made an introduction regarding Michelle and her background in the fitness industry, which is very broad. I went through some of the brands. I won't go into it all again, Michelle, to make you blush, but from World Gym all the way to Bay Clubs and Wellbridge and a bunch of others. You've been at ClubCorp for a while now, and tell us about ClubCorp. What a story ClubCorp has been since 1957. Quite an interesting history.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm actually in Dallas this week and have been over to where it all started, Brookhaven. And there's so much history and so much lineage. And it's really fantastic when you're running into members who, their parents were members and they were members as kids and they grew up in the country club and, participating in tennis and activities. And it really is quite a powerful presence in terms of building communities and being a safe haven and a second home away from home, right? Where, relationships are the focus and adding value to that in any way we can. So, yeah.
And we've seen, as you and I were talking before this chat we're having, and again, thanks for being here. This whole shift to lifestyle, you mentioned the word community. I was particularly taken by the kind of mission, vision words of building relationships and enriching lives that ClubCorp is about. And with your fitness background, can you describe for the listeners, you operate a number of things from golf courses to city clubs to full on almost resort type experiences with fitness integrated. Tell us about that, from a fitness perspective, from the relationship, from the enriching lives perspective. What is that like for your perspective as a professional and for a member?
Yeah, and I think, coming from the fitness side specifically, but I would say that this speaks to anybody who is working with individuals. So that could be a tennis pro, it could be a golf pro, it could be, an executive chef in one of our restaurants. It's, or the general manager. These relationships, I have a thing that I say, or a process that I think of, and it's always people first, then it's programs, and then it's product. And if you get all of those things, 3 things right, then it typically leads to a successful business model. And so we make sure that we have the right people in the right places that are passionate and service minded and want to connect with members and want to understand, not just their name, but who they are and know about their families and what's important to them. And knowing that, being able to almost exceed their expectations by knowing where their favorite place to sit is or what their favorite bike is in spin class, what time of day they like to come in and play tennis, what time, when they like to dine, who their friends are. And so as we kind of define those details, I think it feels really special to be acknowledged and have somebody at your club, which is really a home away from home is what we intend it to be. I think it feels very special for us, working in the clubs. And then on the flip side for the members, I think it just, especially during these kind of unprecedented times, I feel like that word gets used almost as much as the new normal, right? I think that it's definitely an abused word, but it's really, it is an accurate assessment of what we've gone through. And I think we're in a unique position, at ClubCorp in the sense that, we're still able to operate safe places. We all know in the fitness industry, fitness is absolutely an essential business and service. And we certainly see it as part of our business model. And one of the things that we want to offer to all of our members, regardless of whether they join for golf or tennis or even for social, we want to expose them to the benefits of health and wellness and the programs that we have to help them achieve their goals.
Ironically, there are a number of well-known professionals that start out in ClubCorp. Are affiliated with ClubCorp. I think Bud Rockhill is a friend of mine, a few others that have roots in ClubCorp in the health club industry, which is fascinating. Can you share for the listeners, like, what is the scope of fitness services provided over your, over 200 locations? I think you have several international ones, a lot of domestic, but how, tell us about fitness in general in your facilities.
Yeah, and great question. I think, up until, and I think there's been peaks and valleys in terms of when fitness has had more attention and less attention. I think when I arrived to the company a couple of years ago, there was a real passionate interest in elevating the fitness experience, understanding the value, knowing that whether we had fitness in the club as a space or an amenity or not, our members were likely going somewhere else for it. And so if we could deliver that, just an exceptional space and programs and the right people, then they would likely stay with us and, not need that secondary membership. Being that we're private clubs in large part, we're able to control, the volume and the usage. And so, it varies across locations. Obviously, we have over 200 locations, but I'd say of the 200, we have about 60 that have some type of footprint that has fitness. And it could be as small as, a 3,000 square foot, amenity space that you would maybe find in a hotel, all the way up to, 100,000 square feet, with indoor tennis and racquetball and dedicated studios. So it's a pretty broad spectrum in terms of what we offer. And then based on the spaces that we have, we try to offer as many programs that are relevant to that demographic and that market as possible. So, in some locations, youth programs is very important to us. If we're in a residential area, we've got fields that we can program. We've got the indoor fitness experience. Now we've got the outdoor fitness experience. So it's a pretty broad spectrum from just amenity level all the way up to fully programmed spaces.
And that's probably, compared to your other experiences, probably less. Bay, was probably a little similar in its makeup, but it's really, given that lifestyle experience, that probably has some pros and cons and how you have to approach operationalizing it, right?
Very much so. I think that one of the things I noticed when I got here, I'm used to being in a kind of standard, high-end fitness model where it is a standalone business. Whereas here it was really, they love to offer it to the members, right? And so it's a bit of a shift. I mean, it's really exciting in the sense that there's so much opportunity here, and to come at it with eyes where we just want to create the best experience as possible. We want to get the right people in place. We want to have the right programs to bring that to life. It's a really exciting change, but it was definitely a shift. I've certainly learned my share about golf and food and beverage and private events. I'll say that.
Yeah. And given golf and of course racket sports and the other things you do, because it's a broad offering, and it's fantastic. I've been a member of your organization in the past in New Orleans when you offered operation here, so I always enjoyed all the aspects of it. How do you see this plugging into that overall leisure lifestyle trend? Where you see brands like Lifetime, not as broad in their leisure offering, but trying to be food and beverage, other services, even Equinox with travel, trying to tie into that whole lifestyle experience. I've been a big believer in that trend overall, a larger share of wallet, a bigger life experience, more interconnectivity. I think you used the term stickiness, right?
Yes, yeah. And that really is the case. And I think that the more, I think when we had talked earlier, you think about your supermarkets now, and you go in and they've got everything there. They've got Starbucks, they've got banks, they've got, you can rent movies. It's really, and as a consumer walking into a space where you have everything you need in one location, that puts time back in your day, and there is nothing more valuable than time. So the more we can offer, relevant services and spaces and be creative with how we're doing that, I think it's, it's a win, and members appreciate it. And I think I would say that just from an observation standpoint, when I look at kind of the old school country club model to, this kind of modernized, private club experience, the change is really in that members are still primarily joined. Golf is still the core of who we are as a business. Absolutely. It's who we, it's how we were kind of brought into the space, and it will always be the core. But as you see now, when you're watching some of the pro tours, fitness is a big component, for the pros, right? And so we're, as a team, we're really leveraging that in some capacity to really partner with the golf department and the golf pros, and same with the tennis pros, if we've got aquatics programming going, if we have so much outdoor space. That's one thing we're so fortunate to have, that we have really, the sky's the limit in terms of the programs that we can offer and how creative we can be. And that really does create that sticky membership, and it just adds value, and so when you're thinking about what you may be cutting in terms of expenses, you're likely to hold on to the one place that feels like a second home, that you have so many activities that you can do in one location and enjoy.
Yeah, and you're so right. Both on the female circuit and the male circuit, these golfers now look ripped. I mean, this was like 20 years ago. It was nothing like this. I mean, it's amazing when you see them play.
Yeah. Yes.
Real athletes.
Yes, absolutely. So that certainly that gives us credibility. But I think everybody understands, and I think the approach for us, having again come out of traditional fitness, where you're, as a trainer or, a GM or a fitness director, you're thinking all of your opportunity is right there in front of you in your fitness center because they joined for fitness. Right. Whereas at ClubCorp, when members join our club, they may not even know that much about fitness. So the opportunity is fantastic in the sense that they may have joined for golf, but if we partner the golf pro with the fitness pro and combine a team to make them be successful so that they can play golf pain-free, they can play longer, add value, add drive to their ball. I mean, all of that is impactful. And we have more opportunity, ironically, outside of the fitness center in our spaces than we do inside, which is a very different approach if you compare it to standard fitness.
Yeah, it makes complete sense. And we chatted a little bit about tech trends, and we're going to do a webinar, of course, next week on the industry overall and leisure and these interesting trends. We'll also touch on technology, Michelle. I know you've expressed to me some of your learnings around this, and starting back as a personal trainer years ago, not too many years ago.
Quite a few.
And what has happened in technology, over the years in fitness? What is your perspective now on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is such an incredible value add. I mean, I would say that if I were to go back and present some of these, systems and platforms and tools that are coming out now, I would have been terrified, right? I mean, I was back then, we were, barely getting into email and all of that kind of stuff and having a bunch of screen time. But as I've gone through and transitioned, and even as a trainer, as the industry has shifted and started to develop these tools, I feel like it empowers the fitness professionals to deliver just a much more individualized, exceptional experience. And it allows us to connect with people regardless of whether they're in town or in the club, if they're working remotely, if they're, shelter in place in this, this past year. It really gives us multiple avenues and channels to connect with them and deliver relative content that is specific to their goals. And really at the end of the day, I was reading an article or the survey that URSA had put out, and people love the relationship, right? They love that relationship with their group exercise instructors, their personal trainers, their friends at the health club and at the gym. That will never be replaced. That's always going to be an essential part. So I see technology as being a really fantastic complement to the personal relationship. And allowing the flexibility in terms of connection, because, that's huge. I mean, we know when people are trying to change lifestyle and behavior, it's a little challenging at first. So the more touch points that we can have that are efficient, for the business owner, the personal trainer, or the general manager, I think that's just, it's a huge value add in terms of, and will impact us in terms of retention.
Yep, absolutely. So a couple final things, and again, thanks for being here. I know our listeners are going to be very fascinated by your insights, given your background and your role now. I don't want to overdo it because everyone's talked about COVID so much, and we're hoping that 2021 by mid-year, we'll have a real turning point, thank God, with the vaccinations and other things that are happening. But COVID must have presented some unique challenges for you and your brand, given the scope of services and other things. At the same time, I see that golf has gone up significantly, right? So tell us about that.
It sure has. Yeah, so that's been an interesting journey. I mean, at first we're a large organization and we do business in many states. And because whatever was shifting not just at the national level, at the state level, then at the county level, and sometimes at the city level, so I think being finally, tuned into what was happening and what we needed to do to provide a safe environment. Obviously, golf and tennis just by the nature of the activity, golf specifically and tennis in our outdoor locations, it lends itself to social distancing. And so those activities were much easier for us to navigate around. And I can tell you how grateful our members were to be able to come out and come to the club. Our to-go business, we really shifted gears in the food and beverage area to provide to-go when we couldn't do indoor dining, outdoor dining because we have the spaces. And then from a fitness perspective, I think, has the year been challenging? Absolutely. But, we always are so much better when we go through challenging times. I feel like all my whole team that I work with on the fitness side, they are so much more resilient. They've been challenged and they've challenged themselves to get out of their comfort zone and, to start delivering, content virtually and host live classes and connect with members and understand how the programming needs to change as we move into 2021. And I truly feel from an industry perspective that we actually have one of the largest opportunities that we've probably had in a very long time from a health and wellness and a longevity standpoint, because I feel like now people aren't necessarily going to be thinking, I'm going to join the gym because I need to lose 10 pounds. They're going to join the gym because they want to be healthy and well and have a strong immune system and live a longer life. And those are very compelling reasons. A lot of times those reasons are much more compelling than just a weight loss goal, or something like that. So I think if we position ourselves, in the right manner, we really have a huge opportunity to get that 80%, right? Who, the general population who, aren't fanatics like we are, right? And love fitness and love the industry. I think we have a great opportunity as we move through this.
That's great feedback. So Michelle, you've been in the industry a long time. I know you're affiliated with URSA. You have many connections in the more traditional fitness space, but you've always been in this, I've talked about your background, kind of on more of the cutting edge. You played so many roles. What is it like? Do you have any final comments for professionals? We have people that are managers, executives, fitness professionals today that listen to our podcast every week when we broadcast it. And, a person like you, so accomplished, who has the perspective of time, having gone through so many things and seen this industry evolve, and now being with a hugely successful lifestyle brand like ClubCorp, what kind of pearls of wisdom, if there are any, that you could share with these folks about their careers and what to kind of keep in mind as things continue to change and evolve?
Yeah, and I think I touched on it earlier, and I think that it comes right back to the people, right? So I think that if you're in the industry, which likely you are, because as I meet so many people in the industry, you get into the industry because it's something you truly love. And there's an intrinsic desire to impart that passion and educate and help others. And I think sometimes where we as an industry sometimes miss a step is in converting that passion and that knowledge into applicable results, right? So taking it that next step and not letting the passion die, but keep pursuing and put yourself, get out of your comfort zone. I think that's the most important thing to do. And I think when it comes to shifting gears, I was a trainer for most of my life, and I absolutely love training people. And people often ask me if I miss it, and I'd be lying to say if I didn't miss it. But I feel like as you grow through your career and you're able to help other fitness professionals, whether it's general managers or fitness directors or personal trainers or group exercise instructors, because my primary goal was to help as many people as I could and impact as many people's lives. If I'm able to help other people impact all of their network of people, I'm going to leave a bigger impression and be more successful with what my primary goal was when I got into the industry. And I just love it so much. And I think you can tell, when somebody's passionate, you can hear it in their voice, you can see it in their body language. And that there's nothing better than this industry. I am so grateful to see it, grow over the course of years. And through all of the kind of fun and crazy trends, it is the future, and it's going to be a part of everybody's lives. And so it's been very exciting. And, I would just say, I know that a lot of fitness professionals feel very challenged right now, with all of the situations, and you just have to keep pushing, and this isn't forever, right? it's a period of time that we're going to come out stronger on the other side, and focus on what you want to create and start doing the work now, and act quickly. I think that sometimes it's like, oh, now we're going back into, some restrictions, and it doesn't matter. You got to think big picture. Where do you want to be at the end of next year? Where do you want to be in 3 years and 5 years? And then set your plan and start, chipping away at that list, and you'll get there and you'll be successful. Be relentless. That's a term that Dave Pillsbury says all the time. So be relentless. It's one of our kind of marching concepts and ideas.
Yeah, I like Dave Pillsbury's video that I saw on the website talking about the kind of vision and history, and given the COVID situation, reflecting a lot of your thoughts, Michelle, and resilience and the importance of it is hard, but this too shall pass. Michelle, as such an accomplished leader and now the vice president of fitness, racket, and recreation for ClubCorp, I'm so looking forward to our chat on video, where I'll get a little more dressed up. I'm in casual workout gear right now. For the audience to get your insights on trends and other things, kind of just touch upon more detail of what we just visited on today. Thank you so much for making time for the audience. I know everyone very much appreciates it. And we'll have all the links in the show notes as usual, folks, so you can follow Michelle and learn more about her and see our upcoming event here next week. So thanks again very much, Michelle.
And thank you, Bryan, for having me. It's been fantastic. Looking forward to next week.
Awesome. All right. That's good. You did so well. Are you